People of the internet, how do? I'm Native King Guy, and as the scary skeletons and pumpkins are adorning the shop shelves, it must mean we're headed into spoopy season. So it's going to be all horror, all the time in podcast land. Well, unless you're one of those weirdos who keeps their skull decorations up all year round. Like my guest this week, Captain J. Yep, we're heading back to Frightfest once again on the show as we cover the opening offering from this year's festival, Broken Bird.
Winter smiles. A solitary essence, not forged for this world. Who only knew love through death. Thank you. Oh, bless you all. I've worked in various funeral homes. And recently one in Ashwoodley, till the incident that sadly closed it.
A heart attack. You so very well deserved, you fucking bastard!
When could you start?
Captain J, welcome back.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to see you again.
I know, it's been ages.
Yeah. So before the review, I've got a new rule for the show. I have said no spoilers previously, and I'm trying to keep to that. Okay. May need to do a spoiler zone on this one at the end, which I'll explain when we get there. Because, it's a horror movie, but then if we only talk about the things that don't spoil anything...
Yeah, it's going to be difficult to not mention anything. Yeah,
it comes off as a slightly weird, kooky, dark comedy. So, yeah, we'll get to the end and I'll explain what's going to happen.
Okay.
But the new rule is no yucking a yum. There you go.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I've made fun of folks who like the Conjuring movies previously, and I'm sorry. I don't
deserve it.
Well, yeah, I mean...
The first one's okay.
You could say that the films are bad, but the whole thing is, I don't like the films. It's fine if you do. You're probably a perfectly fine human being, decent sound, mind and body. We just have alternative views on what's good. But yeah, I read a review of a film last night that I really like, and the reviewer said something mean about it. Which is fine, but they also said something mean about the people who like the film, and I realise how much that makes you sound like a twat.
Yeah. Thing is, you got to remember, I was in a band, and I've read reviews like that about me. So I'm kind of fine with it now.
Yeah, but if someone insults you with your band, it's it's aimed at you. But if they insult the people following you, that's something else, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you found out the person reviewing that show wasn't actually at the show and just didn't like your band. As I found out.
That's great.
They gave us a really shit review, and I was like, well, what didn't you like about the show? And I weren't there, I'm just not into you guys. I'm like, okay, cool, thanks. Dick.
Yeah, so I noticed someone's comment on their post, and they said it was like a scathing review. Yeah. I'd say it was more of a pompous, elitist opinion by someone expecting far too much from a film called Basketball.
Yeah, you don't come for my basketball, you motherfucker.
Well, yeah,
that movie is cinematic gold.
Apparently, the film is like one of those people you went to school with who never grew up, and is likely only enjoyed by the people who are the very same people, which is a great critique because that's the plot of the movie.
Exactly, is the whole point of the film.
Yeah, it's a gatekeeping thing of, you like that film, you must obviously be an idiot and not like good films. And I would like to point out that I own Basketball. I also own the special edition BFI release of the 1927 Napoleon as well. And Freddy Got Fingered.
All classic cinema greats.
Yeah, and I also own Gremloids on VHS, DVD and Blu-ray. I enjoy them all in their own ways. Yeah.
Gremloid sounds like a cream you get over a certain age.
Oh, it's Lord Buckethead. Count Binface.
The original.
Yeah. Yeah, all I'm saying is different strokes, different folks. Not going to insult the fans of the films. I'll just insult the film. Anyway, pig fucker. I can call you pig fucker, can't I?
Only my friends can call me pig fucker.
Thanks for coming on to review this with me. You're totally my first choice when I received the screener. Totally the first choice.
It was a pleasure, actually.
Yeah, I would have highly recommended it to you if I didn't get to review it with you and lend you my copy of it if it didn't end up on Shudder and you watch it on that.
I mean, it will eventually, and I will again.
Yeah. So I did already do a video review of it. You can find that on Substack or YouTube, which I'm not sure what's happening over there, but it's on fire. It's nice. It's good to have a little dopamine rush of seeing 4 figures on something I've done. It's great.
And deserved. It's a good video review.
Thank you. So I'll give a read of the press again, like I did in the video. I'll nail it first time, also like I did in the video. No edits on this show. None. Only when I sound really stupid. So Broken Bird marks the feature directorial debut of actress Joanne Mitchell, who for 30 years has honed her craft as a horror storyteller. Broken Bird is a feature film adaptation of her and Tracey Sheals' 2018 award-winning short SYBIL, written with the help of Dominic Brunt. This rich, disturbing tale steps into the life and mind of Sybil Carmichael. Sybil is a quiet, creative soul. Her hobbies are taxidermy and poetry. She works in a funeral parlour with the deceased. She likes dead people. They understand her. At just 10 years old, she experienced a massive trauma in a tragic accident which took away the family she adored. Now an aching loneliness prevails in a void which she seeks to fill. She has hobbies, which is nice, but poetry and a vivid imagination only provide a temporary escape from the harsh realities of a lonely life. One take.
Well done. Pat, pat, pat.
So, as we said, steering clear of spoilers. It's hard to say much, as when does the film reach a point where it becomes spoiled?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, initial thoughts, or thoughts in general?
Yeah, loved it. Is the initial thought. I absolutely adored this movie. It was the opening movie at the Frightfest this year, London Frightfest, the 25th anniversary one, I think. And I can see why you would choose this as an opener. It's just an excellent, without gushing too much, it really is a great film. I really did like it. And I've watched a lot of horror, and most of it is fine. But this was excellent. The performances were excellent. It takes some turns, as you would expect of a horror film. But there were some really nice bits in it as well, which I don't think is a spoiler to say. Like there's a scene where she's walking before she gets to the museum, when she's walking through the park, and the runners run around her, and she's listening to nice music, and it is literally almost frame for frame from Amelie. And that was the first thing that hit me. And I love that there are quite a few Amelie sort of moments in the movie which play off really well against what comes to pass later in the film. That kind of whimsical, slightly surreal quality to it really plays into the second part of the movie.
That's essentially gone into the plot, really. It's Sybil gets a job at a funeral parlour.
Yes.
Does poetry, the pies, pints and poetry nights.
Yep.
Does taxidermy. And like just those things in general are a great base for like a TV show almost. Which would have been great because the characters are like very lived in, like they have personalities that you want to know more of and the backstories. And you only really sort of see bits and snippets, obviously, of the other ones. But yeah, it felt like almost like a TV show pilot to a certain extent.
Yeah.
At the start, anyway. It's a bit similar to 6 Feet Under.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely got vibes of that. Amelie meets 6 Feet Under, kind of.
Yeah, because you got the dream sequences in that. Because I've just actually finished watching it. Good show. Depressing as hell.
Yes. I love that show.
I don't know if there was like a little nod to it in the film itself, because the grieving widow who hates her philandering husband is called Mrs. Fisher, and that's the name of the family in 6 Feet Under. So yeah, I don't know if that was like a nod to it slightly, but that's kind of the vibe I was getting from the first half. Obviously, per story, and then you got Emma, the police detective, who's going to work while drunk, and that's kind of the first time you meet her. And it's obviously she's had a big traumatic incident in her life, and you know, she's got a bit more of an understandable reason to be drunk than us during the day. She's the boss of her son.
Yeah, and you don't initially see how their stories interact.
Yeah, but why else would they be in the same film?
Exactly.
And yeah, both of the stories have their own unique look to them. You've got Emma's is drab and washed out, greys, blues, and then you have SYBIL's story, which is glossy, warm, glowing golds, exacerbating the unrealness of SYBIL and her fantasies, which I've seen done in other films as well, but not as like subtle one as the sort of the Ryan Reynolds film, The Voices.
Yeah, yeah,
Quite good, but that's kind of over the top, like dance numbers. Well, there is a dance number in this, but yeah, again, it's more pulled back, subtle.
yeah. It was. I mean, anything with Ryan Reynolds is not going to be subtle. Let's be fair. But again, that scene again played into that Amelie quality for me because it does have that slightly unreal quality to it.
So yeah, you got those bits with her, and it's like, as I've said in the video, I've gone into detail in that, but this is like she's got this look where she's like just perfect, not hair out of place. She doesn't blink once, I don't think, in the entire film. I think next time I watch it, I might look out for it if she blinks at all.
That's a fair point, actually.
Yeah,
I think I noticed that.
and it gives it a real uncanny valley uncomfortableness.
Yeah,
Like both
I mean, her
beautiful,
performance is excellent throughout.
and she's odd, but then she lost a family at a young age, and it's like a coping mechanism. The dream sequences, her going into her own fantasy world, and yeah, there's like all the what's it, cringe horror, I'm going to call it, because it's like the uncomfortableness of eating crisps at the poetry reading.
Loudly
Yeah, and doing a fringe,
and
which
aggressively.
yeah, doing a fringe, which I know must be a nightmare for anybody who has one of those fringes, because I have a beard and it's messy, and if I get it slightly wrong,
Yeah.
I'm losing a couple of inches.
Well, as a man that had a wife that had a fringe like that, I can attest it takes work. It doesn't just happen.
Yeah, and then there's more cringe with like the poetry readings, which I find awkward anyway. But
What I loved about those scenes, particularly like the poetry reading scenes, is that even other poets hate other people's poetry because no one likes your poetry except you. They're like kids. The only people that like them are you, and maybe their grandparents. Sometimes.
that's a lot of our stuff. Like, it takes a
really
lot
is.
of time for it to get like someone to actually notice you and go, "Hey, you're really good." And it's like, "Oh, great, a fan." But if you're in such a small crowd, it's like no one's gonna like you.
Well, again, it's like being in a metal band going to a metal show in London because the only people in that crowd are everyone's in a band. So unless you're a big band, it's just crossed arms and stern faces from start to finish.
Slow claps,
Yeah, it is because everyone's in a band and everyone is judging you.
and not in that like 80s film. All celebrate the hero's speech at the end of it. Slow clap, more the
No. Yeah, it's just like, thank you, good night.
solitary clap.
Woo! Great show, guys. It's the same thing. It's no one likes your art. No one ever likes your art.
Yeah. So along with these characters, you get like a sense of what's going on. And yeah, I did say I called it at a certain point. I've got like the note written down. Yep, this. Make sure. Yeah, I got proof. I called it, and then I can't show it to anybody because I didn't really call it. Because then you got like another character come into it, Mr. Thomas,
Yeah.
the funeral home owner who has like a peccadillo of his own, which you don't know about, but there's something weird about him, and it's just one of the many twists and turns the story goes down,
Yeah.
and like throws you like a different direction, thinking, oh, maybe that is happening, and then no, it goes completely different.
Yeah,
with
they throw a
what-
couple of false red herrings in there for you.
yeah, and then something happens with him. He's like, oh, I did not see that coming.
Yeah,
Obviously-
no, I didn't. I saw it eventually, but I saw it going a different way first, and it absolutely didn't do that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's again hard to say how it's a horror film without going to spoilers.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's genuinely a horror.
it's psychologically quite heavy. And
Yeah.
it builds towards it, but also it does have that kind of counterpoint of whimsy in it, which makes it even better because there is a real whimsical quality to it. but
Yeah,
then it makes the dark stuff even darker.
yeah, because Sybil has a relationship, or she thinks she's having a relationship with Mark, who she met once.
Yes,
They sort of
who's
bump
just a
into each other.
curator in a museum.
Yeah, and he's just being kind to her, I guess, or like he's intrigued because she is kind of good looking, but also weird, and like, do you need help?
Yeah,
Yeah, and he has a fiance, which obviously she sees her as a rival when she's really not. And yeah, I'm trying to avoid spoilers.
it's quite hard.
Which, when you get to 45 minutes in, is like, oh, right, so half the film is pretty much it's going to ruin the whole entire effect of it.
Yeah, I mean, for those that want to watch the movie, it is very good. It builds up nicely. There's great pacing. It looks lovely. Like the cinematography and everything is really nice. The sound like soundscapes in it, and the music is really good. And it's not as cliched as you might worry, because so many horror movies now, you kind of like the last one we did with the anthology movie, that you kind of knew where everything was going straight away, whereas this kept me guessing.
Yeah,
It's also quite slightly Hitchcockian at times, and some of it.
yeah. I was sort of saying, like, 30 minutes in, I'm going, yeah, this is going to happen. And he's in, it's like, okay, so I did kind of get it slightly right, but
Yeah,
for everything else thrown on top of it, it's like, yeah, I didn't see any of that coming. And I think the
yeah, the
only,
destination was right, but the route was definitely not where I expected to go.
yeah, I think the only downside is the ending wrapped up a little too conveniently with like coincidence combined with a hunch that paid off, which you kind of go, okay, possibly, but the ending is like a cacophony of madness that is wonderfully done, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
great shot as well. That whole scene was just really good looking.
yeah, so I big recommend. Yeah,
There was only really two ways to end that film as well. It was that one, or basically it starts again. Essentially, the cycle continues,
which is where you make a TV show of it.
which could work. But I kind of like it's self-contained. It's a story within a
Yeah,
story.
not everything needed a TV show. Yeah, it's so yeah, big recommend for me when it comes out on streaming. You should watch it. If it comes out on DVD, you should buy it. If it comes out on VHS, definitely buy it.
Do all three. Yeah, it's probably not going to come out on VHS. Probably not.
Oh,
Calm down, you'll upset him.
This is my fiancé, and I have every right to be here.
All right, Sybil?
Yes, I'm fine, thank you. Chaffinch winces its way towards what heat it can retain from the tree. Still, still, still. Wings wrapped around him, nature's blanket. He watches silent from his perch.
okay. Can we find you anywhere online at all now, or is
No,
it
I'm
just no?
sort of diminishing my online presence slowly over time. I'm moving to Blue Sky, mainly because Twitter has become an absolute cesspool of hatred and unpleasantness.
Good, good.
Yeah,
I'll
you've
put a
got
link in
links. You
the
can follow me on Twitter
the
while I'm still
details,
there, I
yeah.
suppose.
Okay, and me always you can find on totalquarterzone.com. All the details on there where you can find me. Yeah, at the end of this, I'm going to roll the music. It's probably playing underneath me right now. You can hear it, can't you? It's great. And then there's going to be 10 seconds of dead air.
Yay.
And then we're going to go into the spoiler zone, which is going to be 2 minutes. And if you're wondering why we've steered clear of spoilers, and you don't think it's much of a horror, and you want to know why it's so awkward to explain, you can carry on listening. If you don't want it spoiled,
And go and watch it.
stop after the music stops. Just turn the tape off. The 2 minute spoiler zone will start shortly. If you don't want the film spoiled and don't turn it off, it's your own fucking fault. Okay, so where do you want to start? The girlfriend being buried alive, the necrophilia, or the stuffed kid?
I mean, they're all quite good. What I loved about it is it literally within like 5 minutes it goes from being Amelie to Delamorte Delamore, and that's literally what my brain was telling me while I was watching it. I'm like, well, is Rupert Everett going to turn up in a second? This is fucking mad, and I
Yeah,
loved it. I loved every minute of it. It takes a real turn.
yeah. So
I'd
30
actually
minutes.
forgotten about the girlfriend being buried alive as well.
Yeah, like that Ryan Reynolds film where he's hilarious. So yeah, the 30-minute mark, I called the kid being stuffed by her, and yeah, that was like only a small part of it. I mean, the necrophilia as well is like I'm not sure it's supposed to be sexy. You get the feeling that it is, but then there's the instant regret of having that feeling. It's like, oh, oh,
Now I've got feelings. Some
oh,
people got feelings.
and yeah,
I mean,
the
it's two conventionally attractive people. One of them is dead.
yeah. So the Mark who she gets infatuated with dies and gets brought into the funeral home, and she essentially has to reassemble him, but he's missing an arm, so he's got an arm off. So she attaches an arm from another body, and then gets all sexy time with him. And there's like a dance number in
You
the.
can't just say she attaches an arm from another body because that's not quite accurate, is it? She takes a hacksaw and cuts off an arm from another corpse
And then cuts his
and then
knob off.
sews it on and then cuts his knob off as well, yeah, because she
Yeah,
thinks he's a prick for no reason whatsoever, by the way. She's just decided a whole story in her head. This is the same corpse who she envisions the wife of punching his face in as well.
yeah, and yeah, the stuff kid. It's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, that bit was pretty fucked. But then what I really liked, because they don't really
that's it.
embellish on it. Oh, that was the 2 minutes, was it?